everyone, this is Tanuja with Food for Thin. Today we're going to make a really healthy and easy recipe for fajitas. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we want to do is take some garlic. So I'm going to take about 4 cloves. Depends on how garlicky you want it. I like my stuff pretty pungent. I do enjoy garlic. It's a natural antibiotic, and of course it's extremely flavorful. So go ahead and, so there's going to be 2 parts to these fajitas. We're going to make beans, black beans, and half the garlic is going to be used for that, and we're also going to make the actual fajita mix with mushrooms and peppers and onions. So the other half of the garlic is going to be for that. So I just cut all of it together because that's easy. And then if you have like one of these garlic choppers, which I have over here, you can use one of these. I don't really like it too much, to be honest with you, so I just chop it up myself. You can also buy the garlic already pre-chopped, so some people find that easier. I like it fresh because it tastes different, and that's the main reason. I also buy only organic garlic because I don't like to overcook it usually. Alright, 1 more clove to peel. Okay, let me just give my hands a quick rinse. And let me actually grab this garlic and kind of rinse it too. Alright. So now we're just going to give this a bit of a chop. Like, I like mine kind of fine, but you don't have to make it that fine. It's really just for flavor, so it's totally up to you how you want to do it. And I'm sorry I'm left-handed, so it's maybe a little bit harder to see, but I'll show you after I'm done. I'm not an expert knife person, so it might not be that good. It's not like how Rachel Ray can do it. Okay, this is good enough. It's not as fine as I usually make it, but this is good enough for right now. Okay, so this is a pretty good amount of garlic, so I'm just basically going to split it in half and put half in this pot for the beans and the other half in this pan for the actual fajita mix. So let me go ahead, and I'm actually going to prepare all the other vegetables before we get this going, so I can do another thing while we're waiting for the stove to heat up and everything. So these peppers and onions, they're red, yellow, and green bell peppers, and red onions. These have already been pre-cut, and I'm so guilty of being lazy for cutting, and so I often get this kind of stuff. If you're cutting it, you know, you maybe need like 1/4 to half of an onion, depending on how much you like, and it looks like this is about one of each of the kinds of bell peppers. So this is just so much easier for, you know, like a weeknight, making things fast. Go ahead and get this open. Won't use that. Okay, so we have this thing ready to go. I'll just keep it over here. And then I also got the portobellos already sliced, but I am going to make them a little bit thinner. So you can eat them just like this. That's totally fine. I just don't like them so thick. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them up a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is, I know this is probably kind of useless for a lot of people, but I just want to make them a little bit thinner. So they're just like half of what they were before. And you can just even chop them in half that way too if you want. They will shrink though as you're cooking them because the water's going to come out. So you know, I'm not a huge fan of cooking a lot of food because, you know, a lot of the nutrients do come out, but sometimes you just really want cooked food. So this is Fajitas are really good because you're not overcooking anything. You know, you can just, the peppers are still going to be crisp and everything's still going to be kind of almost fresh-ish, but it'll still be warm and you'll feel like you're getting a cooked meal. Just 2 more to go after this one. It just kind of doubles the amount and you feel like you're getting more. So this makes quite a bit. I would probably save this for 2 meals if it's just me eating. If you're sharing it with somebody, then it'll probably be a single meal. So we've got this done. I think we're ready to go ahead and turn on the stove now. So let's move over here to the stove, and I'm going to actually grab my oil. So I use grapeseed oil. This is a good high heat oil, and if you're using olive oil on the stove, please stop immediately. It's really bad. The oil becomes rancid and breaks down, and it becomes basically poisonous to your body. So don't be using olive oil. You can use it on salads. Oops. You can use it on salads if you want. That's totally fine, but nothing that you're cooking with. So this is on a pretty low. It's like medium, and I'm using the back burner because it's a small one, and then I'll use this front one over here because it's a big one, and this is also going on medium for right now. So I'm just going to put, not too much oil, maybe like a couple tablespoons max. You don't need that much. Just enough so it doesn't really stick. So we can like saute the garlic a little bit to get the flavor going. And remember, this one is going to be for the beans. You just want the oil to heat up a little bit so it kind of coats the pans. So just let that heat for a little bit. And I think we're pretty much done with all the cutting, so that's good. Well, we're going to cut a little bit of the cilantro later, but... Alright, so just take about half, split your garlic in half, or however you want to. You'll learn after you try it a couple of times what it tastes like. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in here. And then I'll put the other half in this. So this one got really hot. It's a much smaller pan. This one I'm going to heat up a little bit more. So the big stove is going on a little higher. I'm putting it on medium high, like, I guess if you have numbers on your stove, it's an 8. And this one, you just want to make sure the garlic doesn't stick or burn or anything like that. So, you can see, it's like sizzling a little bit, but it's not getting brown. And we don't want it to get brown just yet. So this one's still on medium. So what I'm going to do while this is kind of heating up is I'm going to go ahead and take my beans. So I have beans in a can. You can use, make sure they're organic, and actually I usually buy the BPA free cans, but this can, they ran out of them at Whole Foods, so I got the organic, the 365 brand instead. But what you want to do here is always rinse the tops of the cans off first before you use them, because you don't know how long the cans have been sitting there, and not to be gross, but things could have crawled on top of it, and so you don't want the lid to fall inside and you to ingest something that you shouldn't be. So I'm just going to rinse the top of the can. Now, if you can actually get the beans and soak them and do the whole thing, that's even better. So highly recommend that. So now our big pan is actually getting kind of hot, so I'm going to go ahead and put the mushrooms in and the onions. So the other stuff you want to save, and don't put it in just yet because you want it to be really crunchy. This stuff can cook down a little bit. Okay. And I kind of feel that they, kind of didn't give me enough onions in this one. So if you have an extra onion, which I don't right now, but if you have one, you can cut a little bit more onion for yourself. Let me grab this. Don't let the garlic get too brown like I did here. I'm actually going to turn down the heat a little bit. So it's back down at 6 right now. Right at medium. Now this one, it's getting really brown, so I want to go ahead and put the beans in. So let me grab the can opener. Take care of this real fast. Okay, so I want to drain the beans. So the beans come with a little bit of liquid in them. You don't want to put all that liquid in here, so just drain it out. And these beans are unsalted, so that's good too. I want to use my own sea salt. That was a little hotter than I expected. Sorry about that. I definitely smell like it's burning. So I'm sorry. Don't burn your garlic like I did. It's still going to taste fine though. That's the good thing about garlic. It's such a nice flavor. Even when it's burnt, it tastes good to me. Okay. So the beans are still going to need some water, so I'm just going to put a little bit of filtered water in here. Because I don't like my beans like totally chunky. I like them kind of almost a little bit soupy, but you know, just soupy enough for fajitas. So let me grab a big spoon here. Okay, so I just want to show you the consistency of these beans. It's like, you can see the liquid, but there's also the beans and the garlic, you can see that also. So don't make it too watery, but you know, just give it a little bit. Because it's going to be heating and it's, you know, it'll soak up some of the water. Alright, so now our mushrooms and our onions are cooking down a little bit. Just give them maybe like 1 more minute. Like, this is kind of how you want the mushrooms to look. Like a little bit softish, like just wilting, but not all the way like dead. So this looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and add the peppers now. Alright, that looks really pretty. This looks really pretty. It smells good. Now the beans are going to be fine. We're just basically heating them up. That's all we're really doing. And letting the flavors kind of blend together with the garlic and everything. I'm also going to go ahead and add just a tiny bit of cayenne pepper to the black beans. And it's kind of up to you. If you want it spicy, then add it. If you don't, then don't worry about it. It's, you know, maybe like 1/8 of a teaspoon, probably less than that. I can only do a little bit, so just kind of a sprinkle. And then, of course, the sea salt, that's very important. So I use this Himalayan pink salt. Any sea salt is fine. I like the flavor of this one a lot. So I'm using about, I like my stuff salty. I'm just putting that out there. So this is about maybe like less than 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm just putting that in. And I would recommend just putting less in and then tasting it and seeing how it is. If you want to add more, you can certainly do that. And then, you know, black pepper, of course. And you can see, hopefully you can see on here that it says black peppercorns. So what I actually do is I buy the whole peppercorn and then I put it in the coffee grinder and grind it up. So that gives it a really good flavor. That's like extremely strong flavor. It's so good. So I recommend doing that if you have the time. If not, no big deal. So I'm just, you know, 1/8 of a teaspoon of this also just for flavor. Just a taste, right? Okay, and then just kind of mix that up. Alright. So now these peppers and onions and mushrooms look really good. And they need some seasoning too, right? So my favorite thing to do with these is to put the Mexican taco seasoning, but I also don't regularly eat sugar. So I looked at all the ingredients on the back of all of the seasonings at the store. They all had like maltodextrin or some kind of sugar in them. So what we're going to do today, instead of using sugar, we're going to use like a very basic ingredient, ground cumin. And like a lot of people think, you know, I'm Indian, so a lot of people think, oh, you just use this in Indian cooking. But no, this is like actually a very common Mexican flavoring too, or his, I guess, you know, Spanish, Hispanic, I don't know what it is, but Latin kind of flavor. It's delicious. So I'm just, you know, just eyeball it. You can't go too wrong with this. So I would say maybe about half a teaspoon, quarter teaspoon to a half a teaspoon. I'm just, you know, I cook like my mom. We don't use measuring spoons. Okay. And then a little bit of pepper. And you can throw some of the cumin in the beans also. That'll be really good. Same with the pepper, not too much, just for flavor. And then of course the salt. So salt, maybe like half a teaspoon. Yeah, maybe not even that much. Just for flavor. Now I'm actually going to turn this low now. This one is good. Okay, so these are really cooking down. We don't want it to cook down too much. So just mixing this up so all the flavors get together. You might even want to do the seasoning when it's just the mushrooms and onions, because that makes it kind of easier to mix. And then once you put the peppers in there, it kind of just all gets coated and mixed together. So totally up to you how you want to do it. That's the beauty of cooking. It's creative and fun. Okay, so this is pretty much done. You know, we might want to just give it a taste and see what it's like. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. So the beans are doing well. They're all heated up. I'm going to actually throw some cumin in here too. So again, just, you know, just for taste, a little sprinkle of this, maybe a quarter teaspoon. And remember, the beans have, you don't want to put this much. This is too much. The beans have some water in it, so that's going to dilute the flavor a little bit. So you might need a little bit more. Okay. Okay, so there's one more seasoning I actually want to add to these peppers and mushrooms here. So I actually found this at the grocery store. It's called Guapo Authentic Mexican Sauce. It's just really spicy and it tastes kind of good. It doesn't have any like bad ingredients in it. It's just a little like creamy and spicy. If you don't have this, I don't know if it's just in Maryland Whole Foods or what, but if you don't have this, you can just simply use, you know, crushed red pepper. This is perfect. Just for a little bit of spice, depending on if you like it or not. If you don't, leave it out. So this, a little bit of spice. Kind of got like salt and vinegar and some of this crushed red pepper in it. Just gonna mix this up. Alright, so this is good to go. You definitely want the vegetables to stay pretty crisp. You know, that's how fajitas are. If you've got a grill, it's summertime, put it on the grill. It's going to taste really good. Okay. So the beans are done now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these off. So that's pretty much it. Like, the cooking part of your meal is done. Now it's all about putting it together. So for the cilantro, you just want to take a little bit. It's just for flavoring, so you don't need a whole lot. So I just want to tell you about a little trick that my mom taught me with cilantro. So, you know, it comes in big bunches. It comes in big bunches, right? And a lot of times we don't use that much cilantro. Let's be real. I mean, it's mainly a flavoring for a lot of things, right? So what my mom taught me is right when you get the cilantro, just kind of chop off a little bit of the bottom and stick it in a cup, and then you can put it in the fridge. Now mine has been in the fridge for a while, so it's a little wilty, but it really should last a full week, all like puffy and nice, and it could last up to 2 weeks flavor-wise. So, so you know, I'm just taking this much, not too much, just for flavor. I'm gonna rinse it off, and then just chop it up. I know, forgot to throw these extra mushrooms in here. Okay, so I actually had a friend who came over the other day when we were making these, and you know, she was watching me do the cilantro, and she's like, oh, you can just like cut the stems too? I was like, yeah, definitely. Stems are really flavorful and they have lots of good nutrients in them. And she basically thought that you have to pick off each leaf. So don't do that. That will be a waste of time, you know? Just go ahead and like just fold it in half and just chop. Let me move this out of the way. Let's see. Just chop it up, you know? Pretty simple. And then we have this just kind of you can throw this on here. You can throw a little bit on your beans, whatever. You can even just, when you're assembling your fajitas, you can just throw it on the top there. So let's talk about assembling the fajitas. We always want some raw greens with whatever we're eating. So today we're just going to use spinach because it's easy. If you have lettuce, use lettuce, whatever. Whatever greens you have lying around, just use them. So with the spinach, what we're going to do is just going to take like a bunch like this, right? And you know how you know, I hate to use an example from my old days, but at Taco Bell, what they have is the shredded lettuce, right? So basically what we're going to do is just bunch this up and kind of roll it up, like kind of like that, right? Just like a little roll, right? And then we're going to just kind of start slicing it so it becomes like that shredded lettuce. Okay? You want to slice it pretty thin. This makes it a lot easier to eat. It doesn't overpower anything. I mean, spinach is not very overpowering to begin with. It's a really good green it's a good gateway green. Alright? So you see how it's like kind of in these shreds. It looks really nice. It's easy to kind of just put on your fajita and everything. So let's keep these over here. If I had bowls, I'd make it look all pretty, but we're not there yet. Alright, so I have store-bought guac and store-bought salsa here. So, you know, make it as easy on yourself as possible. You know, this way you're encouraged to cook more. And I also want to let you guys know about these great Ezekiel or Food for Life brand sprouted corn tortillas. These are organic, and of course, if any of you know me at all, you know how I feel about corn, and you definitely have to buy it organic. We don't like Monsanto, let's just remember that. So these are really good because they're sprouted, you know, they're organic, of course, and you know, they're a good kind of carbohydrate that you can add to your meal here, you know, and not feel guilty about it. So I usually, if you're sitting down to a meal like this, I would recommend eating something like this for dinner, cooked food, usually better at dinner time, and especially if you're adding in these corn tortillas here, you want to maybe eat it for dinner. And I would recommend, if you're trying to lose weight, no more than 2. If you're, you know, maybe, you know, just trying to maintain, maybe 3 is fine. I mean, these are pretty small, so you can get away with them. They come in the freezer, okay? They come in the freezer section, so I usually store them in the freezer. If you want to, you know, you can just thaw them out, and they're like perfectly malleable right now. I'll take one out and show you. But they are corn tortillas, so remember, you know, they kind of break a little bit, so just be prepared for that. Have it on a plate when you're making them. I usually just warm them up in the microwave. If you're not a microwave person, go ahead and, you know, get out a small pan and you can heat it up on the pan. My mom, what she likes to do, she likes to cut it up and put it in the oven and make it like chips and eat it with this, basically like a salad with chips. So you can certainly do that as well. So the way I like to kind of do this is guac, spread it on top, then the, you know, why don't we just do it? Since we got everything here. It's really good to eat anyway. And I haven't had dinner yet, so. Okay, and remember, we only eat the green part of the avocado, not the brown stuff, because it's already oxidized. Okay, so just, you know, however much guac you want. This is one of those meals that's pretty much everything's like super healthy, so don't have to feel guilty about anything. Take a little bit of salsa. I'm working over my my cutting board here, but normally you would want to definitely put this in a plate because I feel like it's gonna probably fall apart at any moment. And then take some beans. Again, I'm not going to take the liquid so it doesn't fall. And then I'm going to take the actual fajita part, get some mushrooms and some peppers, and just put this all on here. Let's get some yellow in here. I always try to eat lots of different colors because that means different vitamins, right? So this looks really good to me. Let me just try to get over here and take a bite and see what it's like. Oh, and I highly recommend, you know, I'm pretty confident in my cooking skills, but I would recommend before you say everything is done, just taste each part of it and see if the spices are to your liking. It's good. So, maybe I should finish eating this and you guys can get back to making yours. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.